it's never, all right, I've done that. Because what it really takes is, you have withdrawals and you have deposits. And there's a lot of deposits into yourself that you have to do to be able to make conscious decisions like that. Because when you're making you have a gut feeling, right? You're just intuition. That's a withdrawal out of experience, out of background, out of wisdom, of all the things that you've learned. You reach into your, virtual kind of like hypothetical gut and you make a decision.
Yeah.
That's what the tuition is. But if you've spent no time making deposits into yourself, lessons, because you can make the same mistake 25 times.
Yeah.
If you've got to find the lesson.
And that's okay. I mean, that happens. That's okay. Like I'm at a point now in my life where I'm not afraid of bad decisions anymore. And I don't think that's something that we should be afraid of.
Yeah.
I think ultimately what you have to, before making a decision, like, is this going to hurt anybody? If it is, then yeah, don't do it. Or is it really going to hurt me? Try not to avoid it. But if it's just a risk, you're doing something personal or professional, and this might be a bad choice, but it might work out, don't be afraid of the risk. Like, try it. You're gonna learn some things might work, some things might not, but I think that's how you find yourself. So I'm not afraid of bad decisions. I don't think I'm making any, but do we ever really know that we're making them?
Into the outcome,
right?
Sometimes, I mean, because that's part of it too. Sometimes, it's a good decision until it's not.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes you feel like, okay, this is a good move for me, and then you come to find out a year later, this wasn't. And then sometimes things just change. Right. The parameters change.
Yeah.
Because
something that's a good decision now, the situation changes. It might not be good, or vice versa.
And it could be temporary. Yeah, this is a good decision for the next year, but after the year is up, you've got to move on to something else.
That takes patience.
And that takes patience. That takes, some things are just temporary. It's like people in your life. Sometimes people are just meant to be in your life for this moment, and then in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 20 years down the line, that has kind of expired and you have to move on to something else. And so that's part of it. And you're right. It does take a lot of patience.
Yeah.
And it's not, there are quick decisions. There are some there. Yeah. You're just not going to find out yet whether a good one. You have got to let it kind of ride out.
Yeah.
And that's part of the process.
Yeah. When I was a kid, one of my older brothers, a lot of shout outs. Shout out to my brother, Chris. Hey, Chris. One of my older brothers, he would talk to me a lot about like instant gratification, and like he would try to warn me about instant gratification. Like, you got to learn to think of the future, save, don't do anything that you just want to do right now when, it could damage you in the future, and trying to thinking ahead, basically.
Yeah.
Right. Which was really hard for me as a kid. Right. I was like, no, I see something I want it, I do it. It was impulsive.
Yeah.
But that's an important skill to learn. And I think it gets easier. I keep trying to say like when you're older, but it doesn't have to be when you're older. I think you have enough experiences, whether experiences are spread out over your lifetime or you just have a lot of them all at once.
Yeah.
I think it's experience that teaches you, you know what, I can learn to wait and be patient. Like I've never been able to save money. I've always been terrible with money. In my marriage, like my wife was in charge of that because I have no idea, right? I never know how much is in my bank account. Like I'm really bad at it. But now I'm at a point in my life where, you know what? Being a teacher, for example, so most teachers get paid all year. I'm what's called a CTE teacher. It's a different type of teacher.
Yeah.
So right now, they're hoping to change it. But right now, I don't get paid over the summer. So during the school year, I need to save money to cover all my bills over the summer, which is something 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, I couldn't do. There's like no way. Like I wouldn't be able to have that money, see it, and not spend it, right? It's just learning that patience and having those experiences of like in the past when I've been broke and what happens,
Well, also the terms have changed. I mean, before it was a completely different situation that you were in life. And so we're now you're kind of forced to find the lesson and learn the lesson and move on and grow, because you can make the same mistake a bunch of times and you've got to find the lesson. That's where the wisdom comes from. Yeah. You've got to, and I think that's kind of the rate of speed of, where it becomes age. It's like, it wasn't really age. You just now decided to find the lesson in it. And sometimes that takes time because you just can't find, why was that where did I go wrong? Why did
or
I
accept it.
or
Because sometimes you see it, but you don't care, or you're just being stubborn.
And the stubbornness of, oh no, it was me. I should have tried it this way. And it was like, no, you just have to move out of that and do something else.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. But it does take time,
Because sometimes there's not, this sounds weird, but there's not always a solution. Sometimes things are going to happen regardless of what you do or don't, right? So like we talked in another episode, embracing change. Sometimes things happen, it's out of your control, and you just have to learn to adapt, right? You can reflect on it. Okay, how did my decisions lead me here?
Yeah.
But sometimes, it's out of your control, and you just got to learn to roll with it.
Thank you so much for watching. Nope, I'm going to do it again because I clapped. Thank you so much for watching. Click here for the full episode, and don't forget to like and subscribe.